blue. So now they're saying it's radioactive dogs running around. The damn dogs are blue and they running around near that Chernobyl nuclear site. And before y'all say those are filters or that's paint, nah, that's not paint. That's real footage right there. Mind you, locals are saying they started showing up recently, looking like they came straight out of a sci-fi movie. Why is their fur blue? Some people think it's radiation. You know, Chernobyl, the same place that melted down in the 80s.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? You guys know what we like to do here, man. If you don't, we break down scary and creepy videos that's gonna make us question everything. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
These maps are going to change the way you see the entire world. This map shows the global cancer rates in people under 50. And Australia, New Zealand, I don't know what's going on, but you have way more than the entire world. USA, France, kind of all these main countries are right there with them. This map shows the most popular flight destination for each US state. California's is Nevada. Alaska goes to Washington. Florida goes to Georgia. Georgia goes to Florida. The entire South, for whatever reason, goes to Georgia, I guess for Atlanta. Illinois goes to California. Every state bordering Texas goes to Texas. And Texas goes to California. I mean, this map kind of makes sense. It's pretty much all the states go to wherever there's stuff happening near them. Cool. This map shows the number of dentists per 10,000 people in Europe. Sweden has by far the most with 17, and Montenegro has only 0.59. There's not even one dentist per 10,000 people. That just blew my mind. Wow.
Ice Spice is an industry plant, and here's proof.
We got another one on the roster. Let's go.
Is that what Ice Spice is trying to do at Super Bowl?
It's not a try. She did. And you know what? And I don't care what nobody say, because I'm always right at the end of the day when it comes to this stuff. Every time. She's an industry plant. It's common. You came from nowhere. Your little short... No. Girl. No.
She does seem as when they
You just came from anywhere. And so dog girl, give me sweat. Well,
Tyler?
make me hot.
Tyler, come on, that sounds like just a little bitty girl who just they wrote some songs for. And damn, Tyler.
Plants. Watch this. What's this? March, February next year, cold-blooded free.
Damn.
Turned all the way out. Watch. One song gave you a Grammy, but you got people like Angie Stone that been around since I was 10 years old being a rapper, never got one.
Hey.
How's that possible? You walk right in and song's still on a fucking radio hot, you got a Grammy. How do you do that?
That's true.
This is Ice Spice before the fame. Do you think she's an industry plant?
Or indeed, I mean, I feel like she just had a popular song that's been viral. It picked up. Nowadays, man, some go viral, bro, especially with the songs. It's so easy. Got the TikTok, SoundCloud, bro. It was the months that you can put on, but I remember I saw that was everywhere, bro. And Tyler Water song, I remember that was always coming on the radio, so I don't know. Y'all think Ice Spice is an industry plant? That one might be iffy. I don't think so.
Are we living in the craziest times of our lives right now? Are we living in a matrix? Why do I ask? Because a woman was driving her car with her family when she was recording clouds. Upon looking closely at the clouds, she saw someone
Walking on the motherfucking cloud.
right there.
Someone
What
there.
is that? I freeze framed it and blown it up for you. What is that walking on the clouds? Are they 100% correct? We're not supposed to see that? What is that? Like I said, either we're living in a matrix or the craziest times of our lives. Let me know your thoughts in the comments as to what you think that was or is walking on the clouds. And as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Here's some of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time. Part 8. Almost all of us are familiar with the story that an asteroid caused the extinction of dinosaurs around 66 million years ago. But what if I told you that may not be what happened? This theory states that the beginning of humankind used to live on Mars, which was just like Earth at one point, with water even being discovered there. But as time went on, these early humans polluted and damaged the planet so badly that they needed to escape to survive. The people chose 2 people, one male and one female, to send to another planet to get a fresh start. Those 2 people happened to be Adam's guide to the meteor. After crashing into the Earth, the pod disintegrated, leaving only traces of rock behind. They then repopulated and started the society we have today. But now, history seems to be repeating itself. Ever since humankind walked the Earth, we've polluted the Earth to an irreversible degree. So much so that Elon Musk, founder, CEO, and chief engineer at SpaceX, is trying to send us to Mars as soon as the year 2024. The mission's main goal is said to provide the potential to advance research in our solar system, but it could very well be an attempt to go back and fix our mistake.
Is that why
Rio
Elon Musk
has
is
turned
obsessed?
into a war zone overnight after Brazilian authorities launched one of the largest operations against drug trade the country has ever seen. A staggering 2,500 heavily armed police officers were deployed into the streets of Rio de Janeiro to take on one of Brazil's largest drug gangs, known as the Red Command. And along with armored vehicles, helicopters, and drones, it became the largest operation of its kind in state history. But instead of gang members accepting their arrests, they started fighting back. And the cartels even started using drones of their own to target police officers and drop explosives. Yes, bombs were literally raining down from the sky. Even the local governor said that the city is effectively at war, and then accused the president of refusing to support the operation with military forces. So far, over 60 people have been killed, including 4 policemen. 80 others were arrested, while 91 rifles and nearly 2 tons of drugs were seized. They're calling this the bloodiest crackdown the city has ever seen.
Y'all better watch out because a new insect has reached the U.S. and I mean not just reached. I mean they are full-on colonies in the U.S. now of these Asian needle ants. These Asian needle ants are going to be out all summer long looking to sting people. And they're actually dangerous. They are venomous. They're not like any ordinary ant. And people in Australia, they are afraid of these ants, but now they're in Louisiana. So if you're in Louisiana, these ants are outside, so you better go inside. And I know what you're thinking, we're not scared of no ants, we're not scared of no ants. So they can leave burns and permanent scars. They're known for their ferocity, their determination, attacks, and they do not show no fear from humans or of humans. And during the attack, they use their long tooth mandibles to grip their victim, curl their body, and thrust their sting into their skin multiple times. At least 3 human at least 3 human unalivings have been reported from this ant since 1963.
This feature on your phones, if you zoom in on the moon at night, it will show a clear image of the moon. Like, oh shit, you can zoom in and get every single detail, right? But it's all fake. Y'all can try it right now. They did a test. They took a fake moon, a white circle out of paper, put it in their house, turned off all the lights, pretended it was the moon, and zoomed in, and it created the moon. It literally created all the details of the moon, fam. It was fake. I don't know of exactly what phones it does it with, but I know this one specifically, the Samsung one. It's just a white circle, and then when they zoom in, look at this. See, it's just dark. You zoom in, it gets darker, and then boom. It shows it's the moon.
They have a general assumption of the moon. They have it already generated. So if anything resembles the moon, it'll think it's the moon, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So the line to us, bro.
How the hell did the damn dogs turn blue? So now they're saying it's radioactive dogs running around here. I need y'all to see this, because at first this shit ain't even look real to me. Look at this shit. The damn dogs are blue and they running around near that Chernobyl nuclear site. And before y'all say those are filters or that's paint, nah, that's not paint. That's real footage right there. Mind you, locals are saying they started showing up recently, looking like they came straight out of a sci-fi movie. Why is their fur blue? Some people think it's radiation. You know, Chernobyl, the same place that melted down in the 80s. And here's the part that's creeping people out. These dogs didn't look like this before. This is new. Crazy shit. Scientists have been studying Chernobyl dogs for years, and they found real genetic changes. Different DNA from dogs anywhere else on Earth. So these blue coats, all mutation. You might be looking at the first visible signs of what radiation does over generations. And it's not just dogs. There's been reports of other animals in Chernobyl zone with strange mutations, longer limbs, missing pigmentation, changes in their genes. The whole ecosystem adapting to survive with humans left behind. Mind you, this ain't the first video I did on some shit like this. You just had radioactive shrimp. You had the radioactive monkeys. And you had that other thing, right? You remember that other thing, right? Yeah, okay. I'm out.
We got freaking radioactive dogs, man, in the mid 2025, bro. The fact that they, like you said, that their coat is blue shows how, I guess, how their body's trying to adapt to the changes, man. That's scary, bro. I wonder what other freaking mutations going down to that Chernobyl area that we don't know about.
The story of them is actually terrifying. There's this Viking dude, Bothar Bjarkni. In battles, he would go like catatonic in the camp, like he would just like almost in a trance. And every time he did that, a bear would appear in the actual battle, killing the enemy. And then when they said they would wake him up, the bear would vanish. So like he would never fight the actual battles. He would just lay in camp and then like possess the bear supposedly. He would go into these battles and kill people. Skinwalkers and the Selkies.
Oh yeah.
Like from Ireland and Scotland, call them seal people who shed their skins to become human. If you stole their skin, you controlled them. It's always an animal hide skin that these people put on to
biblically demons possess animals. Like they went into pigs. Like what did the pig look like running down the hill? I don't imagine it looked like a happy pig.
Well, it talks about in the book of Enoch too, like the Watchers, they literally messed with animals and they taught forbidden knowledge basically. So it makes you wonder, is part of that like a witchcrafty kind of thing, like they taught to become an animal? Yeah. It's like they're not an actual animal, but everyone perceives them as that animal.
Could be.
What the fuck is going on with Kim K? I'm not gonna lie, y'all. Look at the outline of her lips, her nose, her eyes. This shit look weird as fuck, fool. Just from this style alone, you could tell her and Kanye belong together. They both cuckoo for cocoa birds. Hollywood always got some weird shit going on with them. Who told her to do this weird shit? Y'all, I don't know. She probably got some weird work done to her face or some shit. Cause right here, she look like a skeleton. And everybody know. Everybody in Hollywood been looking a little weird lately. And now this shit just adding to it, fool. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below in the comments.
Kid didn't It definitely looked like she was channeling her inner freaking Yeezy, bro. Because, you know, Kanye be wearing, you know, the black mask like that covered his face. I know she was at an event or something like that, but maybe she was just trying a new style.
Do any work in his group project, so his partner got the ultimate revenge. The girl in the group needed a 50% or better to pass the class and graduate. So she calculated that even if she got 0% on this assignment, that she would still graduate. Since her partner didn't want to fail the class, he would call her up every once in a while to see how she was doing. She kept saying that she was almost done, when in reality, she hasn't even started it. The day before the presentation, he called her up to ask if she could share the presentation with him. She then sent him an empty PowerPoint and shut off her phone so he couldn't call her. But the girl reassured him, saying that everything will be taken care of. When she got up to present, she presented to the class that she had a good enough grade to pass the class without even doing this assignment. She then said, since my partner didn't want to do any work, I decided to take the day off. He ended up going to summer school, but didn't pass summer school, so he ended up having to take his senior year over again.
Ash Trevino just popped up a tonsil stone in the middle of her live stream, and Ash's reaction to coughing up this tonsil stone explains everything that you need to know about her. Because I wish that I was the person I was 5 minutes ago before I saw this video. And not only did Ash Trevino just leave her kids to stay with their grandparents for the next month, while Ash moves to Houston, and Ash seems so happy to be away from her kids, where Ash is saying things like, I'm doing me for a month, and that her kids are always taken care of by her grandparents. But this is where it gets even more crazier. Ash was recently in a beef with her own daughter because her daughter has over 2 million followers on TikTok, where Ash seemed very jealous of her own daughter. Now Ash's daughter is calling her out online after Ash has allegedly been on a 3-day bender after moving away from her daughters. But this is where it gets even more worser. Ash has enough money for Louis Vuitton bags and lip filler, but she doesn't take herself to the dentist because she allegedly just coughed up a tonsil stone, and tonsil stones make your breath smell super stinky. Is it gum or a tonsil stone? She coughed it up on her bacon and acted like nothing happened. This is all alleged. Do you think that Ash needs a reality check?
Yeah, I do.
So you mean to tell me that that thing comes from the same planet as me? No, meet the crown of thorns starfish. First off, they don't have a brain or heart.
or central nervous system. They don't even have blood. On top of that, as I'm sure you've noticed, they're also covered top to bottom in spikes. And those spikes are venomous, causing severe pain, swelling, and you could possibly be paralyzed. No thank you. What makes it even worse is the fact that this starfish is basically immortal too. People have tried chopping these things in half, and what happens is both halves regenerate, resulting in 2 highly venomous starfish. They just doubled their problem. But the weirdest thing about them is how they eat. Basically, when they find their prey, they literally spit their stomach out of their mouth at the creature. Their stomach digests the creature outside their body, and then they suck their stomach back up through their mouth. Does that sound like Earth to you? Moral of the story? Aliens do exist. They're just found in the ocean. And as always, follow for more facts.
I think I just put it together. That's why Patrick showed Dumbo on SpongeBob. They just say you don't have a brain, bro. I just now got it, bro. He's taking the characteristic of the starfish, man.
So, did you know KFC's chicken isn't as real as you might think?
No, I don't.
So people are discovering that KFC's fried chicken doesn't behave like natural food. To prove this, they buy a piece of chicken and leave it out at room temperature for 24 hours. After 24 hours, they check to see if it decomposes or changes. Look at this video. They left it out for 24 hours and it looks almost the same. No rotting, no signs of spoilage, nothing like what you'd expect from real food. And this is what we're eating. If you look at the packaging and ingredients list for KFC's chicken, you won't see a lot of transparency about what's really in it. The preservatives and additives used in this chicken are designed to extend shelf life, but they also prevent it from decomposing like natural food. Take a close look at the ingredient list on the packaging. It includes a lot of chemicals and preservatives with long, complicated names. These additives keep the chicken from spoiling, but they also mean that what you're eating isn't just simple fried chicken. The breading and meat are loaded with substances that inhibit mold and bacteria growth, making them almost indestructible by natural processes. So the next time you or your kids crave KFC, think about what you're really consuming.
Chlorine, fluoride, heavy metals, bacteria, and so much more. Why is it so important to the government that the water that we bathe in and drink is contaminated? People, movies, scientists, TV shows have all made claims about the power of water. I bet this scene went right over your head.
I want to know what happened to them.
The water is literally showing her. A doctor named Masaru Emoto exposed this, that when frozen, you can see the messages and memory in water. You can also change the molecular structure of water with your intentions and emotion. And let's not forget that water can be portals. Everything that you see that they put out, they're not showing it for no reason. Every time in Stranger Things where Eleven wanted to see into different places and travel, she would have to be in water. I mean, just think about it. If water holds memory, and water has been on Earth for millions of thousands of years, imagine how much information water carries. Water is in all humans. It connects all the continents together. Everybody remembers the Egyptian saying, as above, so below.
If you could like go to have teeth done or anything, just don't have it done. So I've come out to Turkey, to Antalya. I did my research. Seems to be a good company to go to. Having implants done, I'm having the all-on-6 treatment, top and bottom.
But soon after getting them done,
they fell out. And now I've got to glue them back in.
things that took a shocking turn.
Whoa.
The teeth now are really starting to give me, well, the implants are really giving me feel right now. I'm on antibiotics there, cocodamol, the toxin, there, all the way down to there, solid. So I wake up today, in a lot of pain. My face is very swollen, so you'll hear and all that. When I take out my dentures, the pain is excruciating. These implants are pulling, and then on my whole face, I just want to pull it off. I feel like banging my head against the brick wall. I'm just not getting any further with any of it. My pain relief is not even touching the sides anymore. My face doesn't look like this.
This is crazy. Her before and after pictures are actually insane, man. And she said she went to Turkey for this. Yeah, she need to sue them.
Since I've had my implants done and going backwards and forth to the NHS, to the doctors, my whole face has just completely changed. And that was disgusting. just had my doctor's appointment because it come back that I'm severely anemic. So when I got in there, it said that my bloods were 75 and they should be 115. So with my red and white blood cells, they're both attacking each other. This is what causes me to be so poorly all the time. So my next step now is to have a blood transfusion next week. I can't even put my doctors. I'm getting quite a few of the same comments all the time on my page saying I need to be admitted into hospital. They won't admit me into hospital because there's nothing they can do. They give me antibiotics to fight off this infection. The infection just isn't getting taken away. It's just constantly there.
Talk about
There
it.
are 1,700 new millionaires in America every day. There are already 25 million people in the United States that are millionaires today. This means that 7.5% of the United States is a millionaire. Singapore has the world's highest percentage of millionaires in their country, with almost 20% of the entire country having more than $1 million US. Annual supply of water bottles can cost up to $200 a year, while tap water will only cost you 33 cents. King Charles made $34 million in rent income last year. Walt Disney fired the creator of Goofy because he tried to start a union. Money laundering wasn't a crime in the United States until 1986. Due to how much money they generate, 42 buildings in New York City have their own zip code. When we're tempted to buy something, thinking about how many hours it's going to take to afford that thing usually helps us stop.
You spitting, bro. You about to buy something important? Think how many hours, man, go down the drain getting that unnecessary purchase, man. Also, Singapore, bro, 20% as a millionaire, man. Shoot, I might have to move there, bro. Damn, I need to crack that. I'm trying to get into that millionaire percentage. That's insane, man. That 20% over there has millionaires. Crazy.
If you are a family influencer or post your child on social media, here are a few things you should never do in my own opinion. Number 1, might be common sense, but never post your child in a bathing suit. It's disgusting how many of these Instagram accounts exist that just solely share these types of photos and even have their own groups and communities, so just don't. Number 2, having your very young child's own Instagram page. For example, the LeBrant family. They have an Instagram account for each of their very young children, and just because it's managed by mom and dad does not mean it stops thousands of sick individuals from following the account and using their photos for exploitation. Number 3, AI-generated photos are becoming more and more realistic, so think about that before you post a picture of your child eating, crying, or honestly doing anything. When it comes to this type of inappropriate content, people will do anything to get a photo. Honestly, as someone who has talked about true crime stories for over 3 years, I highly suggest to never post your kid on social media. If you have other tips, please comment that down below.
Let's talk about this brave man whose life was taken while he tried to protect his family at the Trump campaign rally. On July 13th, the 50-year-old Corey Comprador, his wife and 2 daughters attended the rally in Pennsylvania where Trump was speaking. The family sat on the stand right behind Trump when less than 10 minutes into the speech, the shooting began, and while Trump was hit in the right ear, 3 other people were also hit. These are 2 of the 3 victims, David Dutch and James Copenhaver. They were in critical condition but are expected to recover. Unfortunately, 50-year-old Corey did lose his life while he tried to protect his family. His wife Helen and his 2 daughters said that he died a hero, and the last words that he said to them was to get down before he threw them to the floor and covered them. Corey worked as a project and tooling engineer and was a firefighter of the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Company. After this tragic and sad incident, over $4.7 million has been donated to the victims, with Elon Musk donating $100,000 as well as Dana White and K-Rock.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will
man.
probably keep you up at night. Sometimes you laugh, talk, and cry in sleep. It's often a spirit sitting beside you in bed. You are more likely to be bitten by someone in New York than to be bitten by a shark.
What?
The human head remains conscious for 20 seconds after being decapitated. If you search up this number on Google, you'll find people with their heads in fridges. Gelatin is made out of bones. That's right. The melted marshmallow in your hot chocolate is melted animal bone. It's good stuff. You have no way of really knowing if everyone experiences reality and consciousness the same way you do. If a panda finds a fresh carcass, they'll eat it. And last but not least, your phone is likely spying on you right now as you're watching this. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 8.
What facts got to y'all, man? It's about the gelatin and the marshmallows for me. That was an edit.
Ended up in the hospital, and not for any reason you think. Shout out to Nat Geo for sponsoring this video. I'm gonna change the way you look at sharks in less than 60 seconds. Let's get it. The author of Jaws, Peter Benchley, not only did he regret writing the book because of all the bad PR to sharks, he would dedicate the rest of his life to shark conservation. If Jaws were written today, the shark would be the victim. The Greenland shark is a slow-burn glacier guppy that can not only live for up to 400 years, they don't hit baby-making age until 150. 150, dude, and still young. Now, there's more than 500 types of sharks, so it's easy to miss one, like the chain cat shark, which happens to glow in the dark that's biofluorescence. The epaulet is a shark that disrespects the natural order by walking, using pelvic and pectoral fins to move around during low tide. Sharks use a type of camouflage called countershading, meaning if you're above them, they blend into the dark abyss, but if you're below them, their light underbelly gets lost in the light of the sky. When you've been around longer than trees, nature gives you perks like that. That's Anthony Mackie. It is, and he and Ross Edgley and many more will be a part of National Geographic Shark Fest airing on Disney Plus and Hulu. Check it out if you're ready to see sharks be anything but the bad guy. Oh, that's right.
Not me, bro. He's going into underwater with sharks. Even with the cage, man, I do not trust that one bit. I'm sorry, Seekers. That's just me.
I wasn't lying. The sharks are fine, but the ocean slammed me against the bars of the cage like it owed me money. So, moral of the story, I'm not afraid of sharks, just the ocean around it.
This is why you should never take walks alone at night. In 2007, a girl was on a late-night walk when she looked at the end of the road and saw the silhouette of a man moving around very strangely. It was like he was doing the waltz, but he was moving towards her. So she was sketched out, crossed the road, and went the other way. After a couple minutes, she turned around to see what he was doing, and he was right across the street from her, now staring up into the sky with a huge grin on his face. Now totally creeped out, she turns around and walks about a half block before checking again, and to her horror, he's now crouched down right behind her. But luckily, he stands up, turns around, and kind of hobbles away. And then she notices something. The man had turned around and was now sprinting directly towards her. She runs to safety and now just hopes she never has to see that smiling man again.
Smiling man? We believe that story,
These are
Seekers?
scary facts about popular childhood movies, part 1. Next up, in the movie The Adventures of Milo and Otis, it's been reported that upwards of 20 cats were killed during the filming of the movie.
What?
There's a lot of speculation behind this, because the film somehow got the approval of the American Humane Society, despite not having their officers present during filming.
Whoa, man. We knew these freaking movies and TV shows had dark history, but I didn't know it was that dark. All those cats, man, just for a movie? You gotta watch what we pay attention to, man. These movies and shows. It's like it's always a dark origins behind them.
These are some extremely unsettling facts, and I found all of these on Reddit. Do you remember the movie A Land Before Time? Well, if you do, of course you remember this loving character, Ducky. Ducky was just adorable, that's literally it. But the backstory of the voice actor that plays Ducky is absolutely terrifying. The voice actor who played Ducky was actually killed by her extremely abusive father. During 9/11, we all know that a lot of emergency workers actually gave their lives trying to save people. But there was also a lot of dogs that did the same thing. So these dogs were going around trying to rescue people, but all they were finding were dead corpses. And this literally made the dogs depressed. So seeing this as a solution, a lot of the police officers and firefighters would bury themselves in rubble just so that the dogs would be able to find them and be able to rescue someone. Rattlesnakes are actually evolving to not have a rattle anymore. If they were to do this, they would become one of the more deadly snakes on Earth because they would lose the one thing that let us know where they are. So if you live in an area where there's a lot of rattlesnakes, I'd be careful because one could be lurking around and you won't even know anymore. But I'm sorry for you to make you think about that, but that's why.
Evolution, man. It's a scary thing.
This is why you should be scared of Ouija boards. A former Reddit user said that he used a Ouija board with results and let something into his home. He said that he has also been physically assaulted by this entity. He said that it started out with a feeling that he was being watched, doors closing and footsteps on the hardwood floor when he was home alone. All of this slowly progressed into being kept awake by something shaking the bed and pulling off the covers. He said that sometimes he even heard whispers of his name. The board would disappear for days on end and then show up in places that he never even put it. He became obsessed with it. Things got even worse though. He said that he began to see a black mass in the corner of the room and the silhouette of a man watching him from the doorway. One night, the paranormal activity escalated into a full-blown attack. He said that he had his hair pulled, fingers pricked, and that he was choked while being held down in bed. During the attack, he claims that this thing whispered into his ear in what could have only been Latin. After this event, he finally decided to have his house blessed. And fortunately, this entity hasn't shown back up. He said that he will never again play with one of those boards.
This is the case of the girl that vanished into thin air. Her name is Yuki Onishi. On April 29th of 2005, 5-year-old Yuki was out celebrating Greenery Day with her mother. It's a national holiday in Japan, and what they do is they go out, they celebrate nature, and they collect bamboo shoots. So Yuki, her mom, and 60 other people were out doing this. Yuki was so excited that she found her first bamboo shoot, she showed her mother, and then she ran off to find more. That's when she disappeared and was never seen from again. When they realized that she was nowhere to be found, they actually brought in search dogs and the police. This is where it gets really strange. The dogs followed her scent to the middle of the forest and then just stopped. The scent stopped in the middle of the forest as if she had just disappeared into thin air from that spot. To this day, she has never been found and no one knows what happened. If you want to hear some theories, come back for part 2.
Do you remember this horror game that no longer exists? Let's talk about a terrifying horror experience that was taken off the web. Hotel 626. More obscure horror games right here. This game is an example of lost media and the images are a little blurry, so bear with me. Hotel 626 is a horror game that was actually made by Doritos for a marketing campaign. You go through a series of disturbing events that take place inside of a hotel while you try to escape. But the name of the game actually means more than you might think. The 626 in the game's title stands for the fact that this game was only playable between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. every day.
Really?
Meaning you had to play this game at night. There was no other choice. Now, I did some research and there really is no way to play this game today. Luckily though, footage does still exist on YouTube, so at least we have that. Hotel 626 actually made enough of an impact that it received a sequel called Asylum 626, but we'll talk about that later.
It's lost medias, man. I wonder why did they take it down, bro? It was made by Doritos. It wasn't even like a regular game company. We're gonna have to go through that rabbit hole, Seekers, man. Figure out why it got taken down. That's eerie. That's an edit.
Interesting people you've never heard of. This man attempted to dribble a soccer ball 10,000 miles from Seattle to Brazil, but unfortunately lost his life after being hit by a pickup truck only 250 miles in. Disney co-founder Roy Disney went to Disneyland every single week with his grandchildren, greeting employees by name and picking up trash to teach them the lesson that nobody is too good to pick up trash. This woman sat at a table in a New York museum for 736 hours over 3 months, allowing anybody to come up and sit across from her and make eye contact with no speaking. This French woman was imprisoned by her family for 25 years in the late 1800s without seeing any sunlight. This man smashed the door of a cupcake store, sat for 15 minutes and thought about what he did, cleaned up his mess in regret, and then stole 6 cupcakes. The store owner saw everything on camera. Instead of pressing charges, he created a signature cupcake after him.
I want to go ahead and I want to discuss this Instagram story and what makes this diabolically creepy. So I'm not going to give the name. I blocked everything out
because clearly they want to remain anonymous. Context is that somebody clearly broke into their old school. I don't know if it was their middle school, high school, whatever it was. And they posted this to their story, but pretty soon after, people started commenting about what they see in the background. You zoom in just a little bit, you would see that this person was not alone in that classroom. But before we take a deeper look at that photo, a huge thank you to Spyfly for bringing me this story. If you want to look up something about somebody, you go to Spyfly. How to become this one-stop shop where you can do background reports, you can look at arrest records, you can even do reverse phone lookup. Spyfly.com is going to be the place to do it. You can check the link in my bio for more details. So back to this photo. I don't know if you can see this, but there is definitely somebody crouching in the background of this classroom. And if you still doubt me, I zoomed in and enhanced the picture for you.
Disturbing facts.
Somebody was definitely
that
dead.
made your day. This woman passed away in her home while watching TV and was not discovered for 3 years. Girls at a nearby camp danced in the falling white ash of the atomic trinity test when it was happening. 10 out of 12 of the girls that danced in the ash passed away before the age of 40. This man donated $100,000 to UCLA to bypass a queue for a liver transplant. 186 people in the Los Angeles area passed away waiting for this same surgery. This woman survived after her parachute failed to deploy just days after surviving a gas leak at her house. Both events were found to be intentional plots carried out by her husband. Hitler had a romantic obsession with his teenage half-niece. All of the members of your group chat will eventually pass away, leaving the group to just exist forever. We are one convincing deep fake away from a global catastrophe.
You guys believe that last fact? AI's getting advanced, so it's not out of the question.
Wait. You don't remember what she looks like.
September 25th, 1981, something very strange took place up in the Smoky Mountains. This is a picture of Pauline Melton, and it would end up being one of the last known photos of her. Because while Pauline was up there, she was with 2 hiking companions. They described that she, all of a sudden, without explanation, just started to rapidly speed up. They even described that they called out to her. They were asking, Pauline, where are you going? Pauline. She never answered. She never looked back until she crossed over a hill. Since that exact moment, Pauline was never seen again. And to this day, they still have no idea where she went and why she did it.
Terrifying true facts that will keep you up at night, part 2. Most people would consider ducklings to be relatively harmless and innocent creatures, but they can be more sinister than you might realize. When a group of ducklings starts to feel overcrowded, aggravated, or even just bored sometimes, they will often turn to cannibalism to solve their problems for them. This is a characteristic that they share with other animals we tend to regard as being cute, such as chickens and bunny rabbits. And speaking of cute, let's talk about babies. Up until the mid-1980s, doctors would routinely operate on infants without the use of anesthetics. This is because it was thought that babies couldn't experience pain. Also in the 1980s, CNN pre-recorded an ominous video meant to be published in the event of an end-of-the-world scenario. Comment if you think that video will be published during your lifetime, and follow for more.
What do you guys think? CNN made a whole freaking doomsday video. It makes you think what other freaking big media company corporations, man, have doomsday videos just ready for us. Hopefully, man, we never see that in our lifetime.
Creepy people who were caught on camera PT.1.
Yeah, why he lurking? No. Yeah, what the hell? Another one. Let's see. They know her? They knew something was up and they left. They felt that energy, Mo. Who does that run into?
Creepiest home camera footage PT.3.
Whoa. It's definitely Crouch, man. Hmm? Shot collar was stolen. Why? Yeah, that's chilling. A man breaks into the house. You don't find no
This
trace of him.
priest tied himself to 1,000 colorful helium balloons and then was found in the ocean months later. On April 20th, 2008, 41-year-old Father Adiller DeCarli wanted to raise money to build a chapel in his hometown, so he chose to tie himself up to 1,000 helium balloons and float over the ocean. He also hoped to break the previous 19-hour record, but unfortunately, things ended tragically. On the morning of April 20th, Father Adiller was fully repaired to take off, and for safety reasons he put on a helmet, waterproof coveralls, and an aluminum thermal flight suit, as well as a GPS tracker and a radio to communicate with people on the ground. Only a few hours after taking off, despite the radio and GPS tracker, Father Adiller disappeared and could not be located. The last thing that he said through the radio was that he was losing height and was going to land in the ocean. Search and rescue teams were immediately dispatched, and after 2 days, they found the colorful balloons in the sea off Brazil's southeast coast, but Father Adiller was not there. Then, a few months later, a body was found in the ocean, which turned out to be him. It was reported that the priest had reached an altitude of 20,000 feet and then was blown off course by the strong winds, causing his tragic death.
So with the amount of people that pass away in hospitals,
insane.
It's no surprise that they're reportedly full of a lot of paranormal activity. Some people even say that when there are many deaths occurring in a certain area, portals are opened up. And as these souls exit this world, other things, entities, creep in. A nurse who wants to remain anonymous said that she used to work in a skilled nursing facility. She was usually assigned the Alzheimer's ward. One night, she was in the linen room stocking her cart, and she heard someone shuffle up behind her. Then, she said she felt a hand on her shoulder. She turned around, and there was no one else in the room. A female patient started to complain that there was a man coming into her room late at night. Anonymous said that she was in the Alzheimer's ward, so she didn't think much of it. To reassure the patient, she told her that she would come check on her throughout the night. She complained of this man every night for 2 more weeks. The nurse finally asked her to describe him, and the patient said, "He's real handsome, and he wears a black suit. Oh, and he's right behind you now, honey." The nurse said that this freaked her the F out. Of course, there was no one behind her. The patient died the next night in her sleep. So these nurses and doctors really do have a lot of great supernatural stories, and I don't know what to think about that one, because she was, like she said, in an Alzheimer's ward, and Alzheimer's patients can hallucinate. But the nurse did say that when she heard someone shuffle up behind her, she also felt a hand on her shoulder. And I don't know, guys, this story is pretty creepy. The patient described the man as being in all black, yet very handsome. I know that the Grim Reaper is conventionally described as being in like a hooded cloak, but could this have been the Grim Reaper? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments.
Imagine getting this mad because your bubble tea was made wrong. Police were called to this bubble tea place after this grown man had a meltdown because his bubble tea tasted too bitter. He got so mad that he threatened to throw the drink at the worker and said some very offensive stuff in Korean. Then he tried to force the worker to drink the bubble tea that he just finished putting in his mouth.
You know the reason why I'm here. You know,
I do.
And I explained. It was so bitter to drink. I will explain. And could you check this? Could you try this? I told her, but she rejected.
Hey, first off, there's no reason to act like this over a drink. You're a grown man.
This is the worker, and she tried to find a solution by offering to make him a new drink or give him a refund, but this man was so mad. He didn't want any of that. He just wanted to fight. The workers ended up calling the police because this man was getting pretty aggressive, and when the police arrived and heard both stories, they were upset because this man was acting like a baby over a drink. Then this man called his daughter so that she can better explain the situation because there was a language barrier, and you would think that she had more common sense, but it seems that common sense does not run in this family because she was blaming the workers for everything.
There's bigger things in life to worry about than a damn drink that's bitter enough.
I know, sir, you're really discounting our shit.
But if then you go to another location, if I go to a restaurant and they offend me, I'm just not going to bring my business
I know,
in.
that's how you handle your problem. And this is
But you can't come in public and then cause a disturbance.
Sir, I understand. I understand what you're saying, and I understand that he was offended. You know, he may seem like really offensive, and you apologize. Okay, but when someone is really worked up, and there's no de-escalation of the problem, because they are not apologizing for the service, then we only get really upset.
Okay, but he's just got to be in charge of his own emotions.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like the drink, then take the refund and don't come back. It's simple. It's so frustrating to see the entitlement and lack of awareness of these people. I felt so bad for this worker. She broke down in tears and apologized to this man so many times, but he wasn't satisfied and just wanted to continue to fight. It's so frustrating to see this, especially because she's working at a bubble tea place. She probably gets paid minimum wage and she has to deal with people like this. Imagine finding a rat baked inside your loaf of bread. That's exactly what happened to a woman in South Africa. In August of this year, this woman bought a loaf of whole wheat bread from a local shop on her way home from work. She ate a few slices without noticing the rat, and then one morning she took out the bread from the fridge to make toast and saw this black hair coming out of her bread. As you can see here, the rat is literally baked inside the bread. After an investigation was done, it was stated that this wasn't the first time that someone found a rat inside this company's food. This seems to be happening more often now because something very similar happened to a man in Australia in February when he bought this wrap and then he noticed that he was chewing on a rat. He bought the wrap at a very popular place called Beefy's Aussie World and said that while he was chewing on it, he realized that it was really chewy. So he spat it out and there was an entire rat. I don't understand how something like this could happen, but this man went back to the restaurant and complained, and all the workers were in disbelief. He said that till this day, he hasn't been able to enjoy a meal because he can't stop thinking about the rat inside his food.
Sue them, man. You need to get that money, bro. I'm suing, bro. Imagine you eating a rat and you freaking wonder why it's so chewy. Boom, it's a rat. See, because how would you guys react? I definitely need to see that down below. I'm suing, man. I'm sorry. Gotta be something.
Guys, parents told you as a kid. Number 1, that if you swallow gum, it will stay in your stomach for 7 years. Yeah, this is false. You would actually just poop it out in a couple days. Number 2, that coffee will stunt your growth. This is false. All it would do is make a hyper kid have even more energy. Number 3, that if you eat your carrots, you will get night vision or better eyesight. Unfortunately, this is false. All it will do is make your eyes more healthy. But if you do eat enough carrots, your skin could turn orange. Number 4, if you keep growing cross-eyed, you'll stay like that forever. Well, this is just simply incorrect. Nothing will happen. Number 5, that cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. This is incorrect. Knuckle cracking is actually just nitrogen going into a joint. Number 6, that chocolate milk comes from brown cows. Yeah, this chocolate milk came from the same cow your white milk came from. Number 7, that sitting too close to the TV will give you eye pain. Scientists actually studied this, and that's not true at all. Nothing will happen to your eyes.
This is the creepy
My
story
whole childhood
of the
was a
stare.
lie.
A girl was on a subway late at night when she noticed a woman staring at her intensely. The woman was sitting between two old men. The girl kept looking away, but the woman staring never broke eye contact. It started to freak the girl out. At the next stop, a tall man in a trench coat boarded. He sat down right next to the girl. The woman who was staring paid no attention to the man who just boarded and just kept staring at the girl. Now this really creeped out the girl. The two men that the woman was sitting between never once looked in her direction. The girl then pretended not to notice, but each time she looked, the woman was still staring at her. At the next stop, the man in the trench coat got up to leave when suddenly he grabbed the girl's arm and dragged her out of the subway. The doors shut and the subway took off. The girl then started screaming for help, but then the man said, "Calm down. I just saved your life. I didn't mean to scare you, but I had to get you off that subway." The woman that was staring at you was dead, and the two men beside her were holding her up.
Yo, what's up?
Really?
These are the scariest unsolved mysteries in the world. Part 1. The Villisca Axe Murders. On the night of June 10th, 1912, in the quiet town of Villisca, Iowa, the Moore family returned from their night at church. The two parents plus their 4 children, plus 2 kids from the neighboring home that were spending the night, decided to settle down and go to sleep. The next morning, the neighbors found all 8 of them hacked to death with an axe. There were no signs of forced entry, and only one child was found outside of their bed. It's believed that the murderer climbed into the attic while the family was at church, and once the family returned home and settled down to rest, he came downstairs and then committed his crime. But get this, the only clue was a pile of cigarette butts in the attic. Nothing more than that. There have been several suspects, including a suspicious business partner, an unsuspected lover, and even a traveling preacher, but none for sure. Obviously, this case has been left unsolved for years, but the house is still standing, and it's supposedly haunted by the family who got murdered and the person who murdered the family. But the thing is, you can stay there overnight. What do you think?
I would not stay there overnight. I said, no. It's been that long they couldn't solve it, man. I told you that's like one of my worst fears, bro. You're in a house that big and you don't know who's in it. Nah. That's an added secret.
Normal looking photos with disturbing backstories. This might look like a normal photo of a statue, but the reality is terrifying. The statue is of a girl named Sadako, and she was a victim of the atomic bombing of Hiroshima when she was 2. At 11, she was diagnosed with leukemia with less than 1 year to live. In the hospital, her father told her a story about how paper cranes can grant a wish to whoever makes them. So she set a goal to make 1,000 paper cranes. Unfortunately, she passed away before reaching that number, so her friends finished the 1,000 paper cranes and buried them with her. This next one is even more disturbing. The woman in this photo is Myra Hindley, and the man who took this photo is Ian Brady, and they had taken the lives of more than 5 missing children. What's even more messed up is in this photo, Myra is posing at the gravesite of her victims. Follow for more.
Urban legends caught on camera.
He was dashing across that field.
Part 3. A chimpanzee from Zambia was observed wearing a piece of grass in her ear for no apparent reason. After other members of her group started copying her, researchers soon realized that this was the first fashion statement observed in the wild. In Moscow, Russia, packs of stray dogs have been known to send out a smaller, cuter member to beg for food. They apparently understand that it will be more successful than a bigger, less attractive member of the pack. Here's some incredibly disturbing footage of a raven speaking human.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
I hate it. Octopuses are considered to be the smartest invertebrate animals on the planet. On 3 separate occasions, Otto the octopus caused a power outage at his aquarium by climbing to the edge of his tank and shooting a jet of water at a bright light. He's been seen juggling hermit crabs, throwing rocks at the glass, and renovating the surroundings of his tank.
You trying to get out, bro. Trying to do a prison break, man. I've heard when even octopus like open up the top of something, like when they crammed into something, bro, they can open up the top to it.
Here are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Being buried alive accidentally occurred so often that people invented safety coffins. In the Middle Ages, people used to eat mummies for medical purposes. It's the main reason we don't have a lot of mummies left today. In the United States, there are more vacant homes than homeless people. Did you know that the actress Glenn Close was raised in a cult? The Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland used to have real skeletons as props. In 1976, a TV crew realized one of the hanging bodies in the Laugh in the Dark ride was indeed a real body by accidentally breaking it. Women in the 18th century used lead as makeup. This is the first chainsaw. It was invented by 2 Scottish doctors. And, it was invented for childbirth. Yeah, there's a lot more. Like for part 4.
Let's go through their head.
Skinwalkers. They are said to be powerful witches and medicine men. They can even change their form to any animal they desire, including humans. But they mainly change into deer, wolves, and coyotes. The scary part is they say if you see one, they can steal your face and even your last scream for help. You might think this is like a folklore or tale. People actually believe these are real. The scary part is there's actual videos of people seeing oddly walking humans screaming help in the middle of nowhere. See, they say skinwalkers pretend to be humans in distress, and if they're calling out for help, they're just trying to lure you in. Ashley. That's when they take your life and use your voice and your look to catch their next gullible victim. A man's wife wasn't even home, but yet somebody was calling him to come downstairs in his wife's voice.
No, I don't think I will.
If you want me to go out in the middle of the field, at least shapeshift and look like Rihanna or Beyonce. I'm making a mess, but this look good. I'll be there in a minute. 30 seconds flat. Naked. Very naked. Maybe even Lizzo. Let's light this candle.
What? I noticed she's always eating somewhere when they're saying those videos, bro. You make me hungry. That's an edit, bro. Like I said, see any edits, spot them out. Ooh, what the hell? It's like moving back and forth. Oh, what the? Whew. Oh, God, they got me. Hit the Jets just like I would, bro.
Creepiest urban legends from around the world.
Honey's. Where the mermaids originate from, bro?
These are a few dumb things that we all believed as kids. Look, please don't tell me I'm the only dumb child and that you guys also believe this shit, okay? Or else I'm gonna feel really left out.
Okay.
Anyway, let's begin. Number 1, believing our parents that when they said if you had food and then went swimming, you would get a fucking cramp. Yeah, that's a load of fucking horseshit. Where the fuck did they get this information from? And why did we believe them? Search it up. It's not true at all. You can eat as much as you want and go swimming, no cramps. Number 2, I thought that red ants were bad and black ants were good. That just isn't true though, is it? Like, yeah, obviously red ants are more aggressive, but they don't pose any more threats than black ants do. They're the same! As a kid, I was an idiot, alright? Number 3, that whenever it was dark, something was always in the dark out to get us. Whenever we went to sleep, if it's dark, fuck me. Going to pee late at night, fuck me. Being the last one to turn off all the lights, fuck no. Yeah, no wonder kids nowadays have PTSD, man. Fuck me.
Oh,
Number 4, okay, this one's probably just me,
But I thought doctors couldn't die. I thought because, you know, they knew all about the medical field, they were smart people, they were just like immortals. It's like your parents always made them seem like such heroes. So I always thought they couldn't die, but eventually I realized that they can. And last, but definitely not least, at number 5, please don't tell me I am the only one with this one. But I thought that when people turned exactly 100 years old, that they would die. Okay, look, I was a stupid child. But I played a lot of video games and I thought it was like reaching the level 100, you know? Like, that's the end. Game over. Please tell me I'm not the only one.
Creepy last.
Okay, maybe the last one, it probably got me when I was a younger kid, yeah. You used to think, like, the older you got, 100, that's like, that was the cap limit. Like, you could go past that, man. You was spitting on the last one. I believed in the last one, though, so.
Words people said right before dying. Registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a very rich patient who was a true Satanist that was dying of cancer. The patient had upside-down crosses and a Satan's Bible by her bedside. Shirley said that she will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was so cold and dark in her room that you couldn't even stand it, even in the middle of the day. She said that it got so evil feeling in there that she had to call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter the room. When the patient passed away, she had not spoken in over 24 hours. And then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." And then she fell back on the bed. Shirley said that after she passed, the room got bright and extremely warm. Shockingly, when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because where her body had been, it looked burnt. And the most horrible smell was emanating from the mattress cover. Needless to say, Shirley went to confession immediately because she did not want an evil spirit around her. A nurse said that one of their patients had a serious recurrence and had to be admitted. Over the course of several nights, he had become quite upset during rounds. He kept asking for his wallet, saying that he had to pay the ferryman. The medical student on rotation in the department took a quarter out of his pocket and put it in the patient's hand. The patient then dropped the coin into the cup on his bedstand and calmed down. Later that night, he passed away quietly. The nurse asked what happened. The medical student, who remembered his Greek mythology, said that the patient had to pay Charon, the ferryman, to be taken across the river Styx. A nurse said that he was doing rounds at a hospital. There was one two-patient room, and one of the patients was a very loud and confused woman who could be quite a handful. On this particular night, she had a roommate who had passed away shortly before the nurse entered the room. She was DNR, so there was no code blue. When he entered the room, he noticed that the elderly lady, who was usually very loud and confused, was sitting quietly with her hands crossed neatly upon her lap. Something was different, and there was this look of serenity on her face. She asked him in a voice that seemed much younger and clearer than before, "Did you see them, young man? They're so beautiful." He said, "No, ma'am, there's no one else here." She said, "They're right next to you, talking to Mrs. Banneker. The angels. They're so beautiful." He said that he instantly felt every hair of his body stand up, and an electric tingle course up and down his spine. "They're not here for me this time," she said sadly.
Horror movies coming out in 2022 that you probably didn't know about. First up, this movie has a really unique story. It's called The Black Phone, and it's about a boy who gets kidnapped by a masked man and locked in a soundproof room. But then he realizes there's a phone on the wall where he can hear the voices of all the masked man's previous victims, and they're determined to help him escape. This movie was also made by the same people who made Sinister, which is another great horror movie. But next up, we have Don't Worry, Darling. This one's about a 1950s housewife living with her husband in an experimental utopian community until she realizes her husband is hiding a terrifying secret. This movie has an all-star cast. It includes Harry Styles and Florence Pugh, and is directed by Olivia Wilde. I just know this movie is gonna be good. Last up, if you watch the movie Orphan, there's a prequel coming this month. Orphan First Kill is about Esther's first time pretending to be an orphan. Do you remember how they mentioned that the family that adopted Esther before all died in a house fire? Well, this movie is about how all that happened. Follow for more.
You guys know I don't check out scary movies, man, but if any of the seekers seen it, you can tell me down below how they were. That's an edit. You see through that. Okay, they say we're gonna be moving in this video. Is this an edit? That playpen is moving, bro. What the fuck?
This man went to hell for 23 minutes. Listen to how he describes the demons he saw in hell.
I was standing beneath this tunnel, like cavern walls that were sending upward, and all along the cavern walls were demons. Some were only 2 and 3 feet tall, some were 12 and 13 feet tall, but every one of them were twisted and deformed and grotesque, the most hideous looking creatures. And I noticed there were snakes crawling all over everything. And then I looked, and I was standing on a bed of maggots, just solid maggots crawling all over everything and everybody. But remember, Jesus said, where their worm dies not, and the fire is not quenched. And he used the word maggot. And Isaiah 14:11 says, where the maggot will be spread under thee, and the worm will cover thee.
This is no joke. Hell is a real place. Repent of your sins today and turn to Jesus so you never go there.
Did you see it?
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. The average person walks past 36 murders in their lifetime. During World War II, Japan bombed China with fleas infected with the bubonic plague. Heartbreak can trigger a massive flood of emotions that can cause fatal heart attacks. People's general happiness peaks at 21 and does not reach that level again until they retire. People who stay up late at night have more psychopathic tendencies than those who sleep early.
Really? So if you're a night owl, you're a psycho?
Welcome back to another episode of Animal Facts They Don't Teach You in School. The first animal on today's list is the living alarm clock, chickens. Did you know these egg shitters are more closely related to the T-Rex than they are birds? Yeah, you heard that right. Chickens are pretty damn closely related to the roid lizard. Have you ever wondered why chickens walk around and they always look fucking confused? They're like... Well, that's because the design of a chicken's eyes are A, really complicated, and B, can't really decide what they want to do. That's because both of their eyes do completely different things. One is nearsighted and one is farsighted, and their eyes also see more colors than we do. I would imagine these feathery cocks constantly have a headache. And speaking of heads, a chicken by the name of Mike in 1947 once lived 18 months without a head. First of all, who names a chicken Mike? And second of all, why was he headless for that long? Alright, next animal. One of the very few animals to evolve like a real-life Pokemon, the caterpillar. And I bet you didn't know this, but caterpillars dance to music.
Things right here, but for whatever reason, when you talk,
hello! And unlike most people, caterpillars aren't very picky with what they listen to, because they'll dance to anything if it's loud enough. Studies show that this BBC with hair in all the wrong places will dance to anything loud enough because it associates it with the predator and it's trying to ward it off by wiggling around. I don't eat caterpillars, but I feel like that makes you look more appetizing. Now previously I mentioned caterpillars evolve, some to moths, some to butterflies. Now you may think to yourself, that's a pretty good life. A, now you can fly around and get food and avoid predators, and B, you look less like my genitals. But life's not that great when they evolve. The fact of the matter is, many moth species don't live more than 24 hours, and that's because they're born without a mouth. Therefore they can't eat and they basically just starve. Their only job is to reproduce. Up next on today's list is an animal that seems to spend most of its life struggling, the sloth. Besides looking like my creepy old neighbor, every time they defecate a third of their body weight. I can't imagine that's an easy thing to do. And aside from releasing demons every time they have to go to the bathroom, it also happens once per week, and it's life-threatening. That's right, every time the animal embodiment of molasses decides it has to go to the bathroom, which is once per week, it climbs all the way down to the bottom of the tree and digs a hole to go into. So now not only are you pushing out demons, but you're also worried about predators. And you can't move very fast in case one comes along. But don't worry, they're not totally useless. Because for some reason, they can hold their breath double the amount of time as a dolphin. Dolphins are about 20 minutes, sloths are about 40.
Evolution really handed my boy the shit end of the stick, but for some reason he's a professional scuba diver. And dimension sloths are basically designed to fall out of trees up to 100 feet without any injury, and they do it about once a week. Their body has evolved to survive these falls instead of evolving not to fall. My guy seems to work off the same logic as the human population. I'm starting to think monkeys weren't actually our ancestors. Sloths were. All I got. Peace.
That's crazy, especially about the part the sloths.
And mushrooms in it. 64-year-old Donna Ventura was rushed to the hospital after visiting Dave's sushi restaurant in Montana with her husband and friends. But Donna did not get food poisoning from the raw fish. Instead, she had their special roll, which contained uncooked morel mushrooms. Within only an hour of Donna consuming the sushi, she was in so much pain and was taken to the hospital. This poor woman suffered multiple organ failures and went into cardiac arrest. Then she passed away 12 days later. According to the health department, Donna got food poisoning from the morel mushrooms, which they said that a lot of people don't know that if it's not cooked properly, it can be lethal. And it turns out that these mushrooms had previously gotten at least 50 other people sick at this restaurant. Donna's husband said that her last moments consisted of excruciating pain, so much that she had to communicate through writing. And the last thing that she wrote to him was that she was in too much pain and she couldn't go on much longer. Her husband filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Dave Sushi, but the restaurant denies any wrongdoing.
Heston James
Stay away from sushi.
He might not ever be getting out after what he did. So if y'all don't know, Heston became insanely popular due to the backup screamer prank. Well, now, due to those pranks, Heston is facing some felony charges. Apparently, when Heston was doing these pranks, businesses reported that people would come into their stores dressed as employees, and according to the police, impersonating store employees is apparently a felony. But oh, that is not all that Heston has been charged with. His rap sheet is 5 counts of disorderly conduct, 5 counts of criminal trespass, 2 counts of criminal impersonation, and 1 count of burglary. Now, if Heston does end up being found guilty of this is not just some light jail sentence. Heston will be facing hard prison time for these TikTok pranks. Now, if y'all remember, there were a lot of Heston impersonators when he was at his peak. A lot of people were going into stores and yelling just random stuff. So if Heston does in fact end up getting charged with all this, I imagine the other TikTok pranksters are probably going to start panicking because they were out here doing the same exact thing as Heston. They were just copying and pasting it.
You have to hear this. A Missouri man who lives inside of a cemetery actually saw the Grim Reaper. He said that he was in his house watching TV at about 3 o'clock in the morning when he heard a huge crash outside. Soon after, he heard sirens and decided to step out to see what was happening. When he got outside, he saw cop cars, firefighters, and an ambulance arriving. He walked through the cemetery to get a better view of what was going on. As he looked down from the top of the hill, he saw that it was a horrific car accident, a head-on collision between 2 cars, during which one of the drivers actually died at the scene. After watching the police and the paramedics do their work, he decided to start heading home. But then, all of a sudden, he heard something drop down from the tree beside him. He turned around to see what it was, and standing right in front of him was a strange, gray, faceless, humanoid figure. His heart jumped up into his throat and he abruptly beelined it back home. He continued to hear this creature behind him, but he never looked back. He got home and immediately locked the doors.
Okay, beware of the Grim Reaper. This guy said he saw it. I don't know if you can take his full accounting, but he has some details.
So he takes his clothes off and starts doing this weird dance. I thought it was like a choreographed seizure, and right when she let her guard down, he jumped her, bit her in the back of the head. Only outcome was dead, except it's not a man. But there's a predator that apparently packs out prey the exact same way. This right here is Stoat. If you think he's cute, you haven't seen what he'll do to a rabbit. The Stoat is the muscly little brother of badgers and wolverines, and they're a homicidal toddler tube sock with teeth. One that can murk animals 10 times their size by running them to death. But it's been reported that Stoats will hypnotize rabbits with a dance to confuse their prey into passiveness. They call it the Weasel War Dance, and the Stoat break dances while two-stepping closer and closer until the end game is one less rabbit. Allegedly. We don't know for sure if that's what they're doing, or how they even cooked it up, and I probably wouldn't believe it, but I can't put anything past a honey badger's blood. And it's not just Stoats. Apparently weasels of every kind will start weaseling out when they catch a body. And if you own a ferret, you've seen this first Slinky's dance, and it's usually after stealing something or catching a toy. It's like a pre-built predatory victory emote. They even make happy sounds while doing it, and of course there's a name for this sound. It's called duking. You should definitely look it up. Businesses duking it out is actually a lot cuter than you think. Also, rabbits really only exist by sheer numbers. Sometimes I wonder if they know they're alive. Although if Watership Down was basically my biopic, I'd be dissociated half the time too. The more you know.
Here are some crazy things happening in the world right now. A man in Michigan, known for his generosity in his community, made one final gesture to thank his community by literally making it rain cash from a helicopter at his own funeral using his life savings. He was a beloved car wash owner in East Detroit, and he died from Alzheimer's at 58 years old. Sounds like a great guy. We can now help the U.S. government pay down its debt using Venmo and PayPal. Yippee! A Florida man was arrested for drunk driving a lawnmower down a highway. McDonald's had an AI hiring tool that's password was 123456, which someone apparently guessed and exposed the data of 64 million applicants to McDonald's. And everyone is welcome classroom sign is violating a new Idaho law. The law says that you're not allowed to put up political statements as signs in classrooms. I guess, okay. A teacher was banned recently in Wales for drinking alcohol, swearing at other teachers, and dancing to the Macarena while under the influence of alcohol. Obviously, or not obviously, I don't know. Sometimes you just want to dance to the Macarena, I guess.
This is what would happen if you just completely stopped sleeping. The average person sleeps for about a third of their lifetime, which it might seem a waste of time, but it's actually good for your body. Whilst you sleep, your body releases hormones and repairs tissues. It replaces old cells with new ones. But the real question is, how long could you actually last without sleeping? The first 24 hours you'd be fine. You just get a little bit more drowsy as the day goes on. After that first 24 hours though, your reaction time would become low and your brain would forget what you're doing. After 2 days without sleeping, your body would start shutting down. So on day 2, your skin will start becoming very pale and your eyes would become bloodshot. At day 3, you will start having hallucinations and your dreams will become reality. After 1 week, start saying goodbye to your fat and muscle because your body will start using this for energy. After 2 weeks, your immune system will become that low that you could actually die from the common cold. And finally, after 3 weeks of no sleeping, you will most likely have a heart attack.
So I just watched Ed 2, and here's my honest
Insane.
review. This film is followed by Brent, played by Lou Diamond Phillips, who is a burnt-out director. He is left with a messy production, and he is convinced that his lead actor, who happens to be the theater owner's son, is sabotaging everything. Things start to escalate when Brent meets a mysterious janitor who may or may not be a supernatural force. He encourages Brent to take lethal action to fix the cast problems. Honestly, the first half is pretty slow and it's just all backstage drama. Tension starts to build and the director is all stressed out. He is trying to keep his Shakespearean production afloat. In the second half, wow, it all unravels into a bloody chaos. Characters die, paranoia takes over, and the theater turns into a stage show of murder and mistrust. Lou Diamond Phillips is a phenomenal director and he is losing his mind in real time. If you're into horror with theatrical vibes, this is a fun, messy, and bloody ride. I give this film a 7 out of 10, just give it time to warm up because the payoff is worth it.
Possums and opossums are very different animals. You could have already lived the best day of your life and not even know it for decades later until like nothing else tops it. Trauma can be passed down through generations, and I don't just mean in like a stories or a habits kind of way. I mean like on a very deep level. When our bodies go through stress, it actually affects the body on a genetic level, and that can be passed down to your offspring. So next time you're feeling just like anxious and you don't really know why, instead of being like, it's just my head, you're probably feeling something that your body just remembers. The most common cause of death in pregnant women is murder. There were some islands discovered in the 1700s, I think called the Falkland Islands, and they got there and they discovered a new canine species. I think they called them wallas, and they were super friendly. Like they would actually swim out to the boats to greet people. And it was really nice and cool until people wanted to bring sheep to the island and were like, hey, we don't want these wallas eating the sheep. So they killed all of them. They wiped out an entire...
Continue with me. 10 M's. You guys think he's gonna win? I heard it was just not the squirrel before a raccoon too.
This video will prove you have thalassophobia.
Fear of the deep sea. Nah, I couldn't work on a boat like that, man. The waves like that. Oh heck. He almost looked like he almost got submerged by that wave, man. Can't be me, bro. I can't do that.
Facts that I barely believe myself. Plastic recycling was a lie made up by the oil industry to ease public conscience so far to the point that they convinced city government officials to put out recycling bins even though there was no recycling programs. There are 168 different cultures in the world and only 46% of those kiss their romantic partners. Whales used to be land animals. The only reason we have them is because some ancient animal came out of the ocean, became a mammal, walked around on 4 legs, and then went back into the ocean. The day after 9/11, when all flights were grounded, the Earth's temperature dropped by 2 whole degrees. Gravity causes attraction between objects with mass, and it works across vast distances. Humans have mass, which means we're all slightly attracted to each other. And that also means when I move my arm around like this, I'm technically moving atoms around in your body wherever they happen to be.
Ayan, makakabisi nyo. Nahuli ko.
What the heck? Oh, dude, bro.
Did you know that Aretha Franklin had her first child when she was only 12 years old? Let's talk about it. Aretha Franklin was known by her nickname the Queen of Soul while she was alive, and she's regarded by many people to have been one of the best singers and vocalists of all time. And she undoubtedly was one of the most influential musical artists to ever exist. Now, throughout her life, Aretha did a lot of interviews and a lot of press tours, but she never really wanted to speak about the father of her children, and that's probably because she had her first child, like I said, when she was just 12 years old, meaning that she would have gotten pregnant when she was 11 years old or had just turned 12. Now, even up until Aretha's death, nobody knew who the father was, even though some people did have some suspicions. But in 2019, about a year after Aretha died, some wills were found tucked away in a sofa and in a locked vault. And in those wills that Aretha hand wrote, she revealed who she said was the father of the kids. She said that the father of the child she had at 12 years old, named Clarence, was a man named Edward Jordan Sr. And just a few years later, when Aretha was 15 years old, she had another child who she also claimed was fathered by Edward Jordan Sr. It's almost impossible to find any information about Edward Jordan, but in the wills, Aretha states that Edward Jordan Sr. should receive no part of the estate. She actually underlines the no for emphasis 2 different times, which to a lot of people showed that she wanted no association with this man. It's always just crazy to me and think that someone back then could father a child with a 12-year-old girl and that it was, not frowned upon or illegal. Like I said, I couldn't track down exactly how old the father actually would have been at the time, but I've seen people state online that there was an age gap between the two, which by modern standards would have obviously made this entire thing very illegal.
Let's see if you have thalassophobia. Part
Same,
3. I'm
man.
going to show you 5 photos. If you feel too uncomfortable to make it to the 5th photo, then you could have thalassophobia. Number 1. How about this?
I'm cool.
Feeling uncomfortable yet?
A little bit.
Nearly there. Last one.
Oh no.
Hit follow to see if you can make it through the next phobia test.
I don't know what was at the edge of that, but she's a brave soul.
Things we all did as kids. Trying to balance the light switch in between on and off. This was literally every kid's goal in life. And once you'd done it, you felt that accomplished, it was pointless even going back to school. Up next, making sure your reflection wasn't alive. Always trying to catch your reflection slipping. Looking away, looking back in the mirror. Damn, that thing's quick. We all did it as kids. And last up, getting the same 5 answers in a row in a test. We've all had this at one point at some point during our school lives. What the fuck? You look around and you see someone like this in a test, you know they've just answered the same 5 questions the same.
Did that ever happen to me with the test joint? I don't think so. 5 in a row. Can't be that much of a coincidence.
Paintings on the bottom of swimming pools needs to be illegal. Part 4. The child here has a head, I promise. The iPhone counts your days because it keeps deleting people's heads. But this shark mural, could you ever get in this pool? See, at first glance, this looks really, really cool. But you see the way my brain is set up, that giant astronaut would give me a panic attack. The artistry, it's beautiful. This orca would send me to my grave. Stop putting orca paintings in pools. 2026. Thank you. This is the artist, and she's very talented. I'm not sure who she is, but I saw her on Google, and good job. Very talented. All of this, though, keep it away from me, please, love. Something about this way that this shark is depicted makes it scarier than a real one. I don't know why paintings on the bottom of swimming pools is terrifying, but you can't even get me in a regular swimming pool by myself, much less anything that has sharks, whales, or anything big painted on the bottom of it. Please stop. Also, because everyone gets mad every time I make a video like this, do whatever you want with your own pool. My channel is about submechanophobia and being scared of swimming pools. Thank you.
This doctor was caught storing poisoned IV bags because he was angry over potentially losing his job. This all started in August 2022 when a surgical center in Dallas was forced to be closed down after there were a number of unexplained emergencies during patient procedures. One of these emergencies included this healthy 18-year-old who came in for a sinus surgery. Well, he ended up going into cardiac arrest and almost lost his life. All the patients who had the same reaction during a routine procedure survived, except for this woman who also happened to be a doctor. Dr. Melanie Casper became sick one day and was given an IV bag to take home to help her feel better. But minutes after inserting the needle, she suffered a heart attack and passed away. It turns out that these patients were poisoned with a nerve blocker, which was later found in the IV bags. After conducting an investigation, they realized that these IV bags had small holes in them, which showed that they were tampered with. Then, after looking at surveillance footage, Dr. Reynaldo Ortiz was seen storing tainted IV bags, which turned out to be the same bags used on these patients. Prosecutors believe that Dr. Reynaldo was angry that he was going to lose his job over a problem in one of his previous surgeries and think that's why he did this. He now faces up to life in prison if convicted.
The largest people like that are truly dangerous, man. They mad at the world, so they take it out on other people.
Crocodiles ever recorded. Brutus, 18 feet through him.
It's like a dinosaur.
Yao, 19 feet 8 inches.
Those are many dinos, bro.
Dominator, 20 FT. Lelong, 20 feet 3 in.
Where are they located at, man? What the heck?
Gustavi, 20 feet.
Another 20-footer.
Chris, 28 feet 4 inches.
Oh, he gone. Okay.
I remember the time in the Jurassic World ride where all the lights were on and the T-Rex absolutely refused to move. Yeah, I do. And every time I think about it, my timbers are absolutely shivered. This is what Bro is supposed to do. He's supposed to growl and, you know, swing out and, you know, do his whole RAR thing, RAR XD, if you will. But nah, on this particular day, Bro was not having it. Check him out. Like, the Indominus Rex is doing his part. The Indominus Rex is hitting all of his beats. He's doing great. However, the T-Rex is just over it. The video at the end is really kind of creepy, honestly, because you can see that the Indominus Rex is like rawr, and then the other T-Rex is like, I'm not moving. And it's just something so off-putting about seeing the Jurassic World ride with all the lights on. I'm glad the ride got stuck there and not in front of the frickin' Mosasaurus, like, because there's like a bunch of TVs with the Mosasaurus trying to break through. And I'm telling you right now, my soul would leave my bones if I was anywhere near that thing for a long period of time. There's also this horror when the lights are on. A freaking dinosaur looks down at you, but you don't see its entire thing unless the lights are on, and you can see its freaking neck is just all mechanics, and that is horrifying. So yeah, the T-Rex is gonna get fired soon because he's just not doing his job and he's not acting. Watch this video and let me know what you're thinking. And how would you react to seeing the Jurassic World ride with all the lights on? I think it would be 100 times scarier.
Alright. He's doing his job. Bro said, I'm retired. I ain't doing nothing.
there might be an actual serial ender on this app right now. So recently, this account called The Hunger Killer has been posting some very disturbing videos. In one of these videos, they show off their basement where you can see what appears to be someone's jeans on the table right there. And in another video, they show what appears to be multiple graves in what I assume is their backyard. And according to people in the comments, there's actually more stuff that just isn't there anymore, such as them showing off an unalived person on their story. And they also apparently had multiple videos that have since been taken down. Now, I haven't seen these videos that have been taken down, so I don't know what exactly was on them, but if anybody has them, please send them over to me. Now, as for the reason that people think the Hunger Killer is like posting all this, apparently people think the Hunger Killer might eat other people. A lot of other people also think that the Hunger Killer is just posting to brag about their victims and to sort of gain notoriety, which does make sense, but I think the most plausible thing is it's probably just fake. I mean, someone probably just went out into their backyard and dug all these holes to make a creepy looking video. And if that is the case, I must say they succeeded, and they might actually have one of the creepiest basements of all time. But the fact that they posted someone who was unalived on their story definitely does make it seem a little more real. But what do you guys think of this?
This artwork that was found in Jeffrey Epstein's house is incredibly disturbing. So this was actually in Epstein's mansion in New York City, and as you can see, this is a sculpture of a bronze bride hanging by a rope. All this is coming from the New York Times, and immediately when I viewed this sculpture, I was just overcome with a sense of dread. Clearly you can see that she does not look happy, and she almost looks like she's trying to escape something. Also inside of the mansion, Epstein had photos of he and Ghislaine with Pope John Paul II, Mick Jagger, Elon Musk, Fidel Castro, Richard Branson from Virgin Airlines, President Bill Clinton, which, let me just tell you, this picture is so eerie. And even a signed dollar bill gifted to Epstein by Bill Gates. Also had a stuffed tiger. And in the upstairs bedrooms and bathrooms and areas like that, as you can see here, there were security surveillance cameras in the bedroom and in another room, which obviously provides evidence for the blackmail thing. I mean, you can clearly see these cameras mounted in rooms that in a normal house would not be there.
Here, completely harmless to humans, and you can actually swim with them.
Would you swim in that lake, Seekers? That's a no for
Scary
me.
facts about North Korea, Part 3. North Korea has a fake propaganda village that was built to look like a peaceful place, so people from South Korea will come up to North Korea. But in reality, the village is completely empty. All the buildings have no windows, and all the lights that come on are set on automatic timers. The only people that are ever here are just maintenance workers. North Korea's most popular attraction is visiting Kim Jong-il's preserved body. North Korea tells their citizens that this man has godlike abilities and that they must pray to him. Super disturbing, and I feel bad for everybody living in this country.
This girl was lost inside a coffin for 7 years, and you won't believe what happened to her. In 1977, 21-year-old Colleen Stan was hitchhiking to a friend's birthday party in California. As Colleen is waiting, a car pulls up with a man, woman, and baby inside. Colleen decided this ride looked safe, so she hopped in and they drove off. The man and woman that introduced themselves as Cameron and Janice. However, just a few minutes into the ride, Cameron pulled off the highway into an isolated area. Cameron then grabbed a blade from his glove box and held it up to Colleen's throat. He then started explaining that he and his wife decided to kidnap someone to help with chores around their house. Colleen was then violently escorted out of the car into Cameron's house, where she was locked in a box under their bed for 23 hours a day. When the 24th hour came, she was allowed out of the box and forced to sign a contract that officially made her their slave. And after that, she was only let out of the coffin to do chores or be tortured. But one time when she was let out of the box for her 1 hour, she tried to call her family, but Cameron caught her in the act. You will not believe what he did to her.
Trapped in a box, man, for 20 hours a day.
Signs that prove your childhood is ending! You actually do not want it to snow because it becomes inconvenient. You start seeing sleep as a reward rather than a punishment. You gradually see your friends less and less, and you start to cry more over emotional pain than physical pain. Make sure you share this message with someone that's getting old and follows more.
Blood-curdling facts that'll give you nightmares. Many doctors have said that the most common last words that they hear are, "I don't feel so good." Most of the laughing sound effects that you hear on TV shows were recorded in the 1950s, meaning that most of those people that you hear laughing are probably dead. During the French Revolution, it was said that the guillotine had to be used multiple times to get the job done. The reason why planes shut their lights off right before they land is so that the passenger's eyes can adjust to the dark just in case there's a crash. This is so that if the power goes off during the crash landing, they can better find an escape route.
I never knew that. Okay.
This is the scary story about the new parents. There was a kid named Michael who was coming downstairs for breakfast. When he sat down at the table to eat, his mom and dad both looked at him and said good morning. Michael said good morning back and they both continued to talk to him. Michael then noticed that something was off. He noticed that his parents were never this nice, especially in the morning. Michael then asked his mom and dad if they were okay, and they both looked at him with a smile on their face and said, "Yes, honey, we've never been better." Michael then finished breakfast and went back upstairs. But as he was walking back to his room, he noticed that one of the hallway doors was cracked open a little bit. Michael then went over to close it when he smelled something terrible. He then opened the door, and what he saw made his stomach drop. Inside were his mom and dad's dead bodies.
So who's you talking to then? Imposters?
Nope, not a new character. They just have a really low spawn rate. Allow me to explain. Meet the Goblin Shark. These bad boys are hands down the weirdest shark on Earth. First off, if you didn't notice in the opening clip, their jaws literally extend out of their mouth. Like they could shoot their jaws out of their mouth at 10 feet per second. Fastest jaws in the ocean. It's actually so fast that you can't see it unless you record it on slow-mo. That is fast enough for me to stay dry. On top of that, they also don't have normal teeth like your average shark. Nope, their teeth are more like needles. Looks like a doctor's office. And that's because those aren't meant for chewing. They're to ensure that the prey can't escape while they swallow it whole. But you don't have to worry about that because these guys are only found between 5,000 and 10,000 feet underwater. They thrive where the sun don't shine. And because of that, humans almost never see them. And scientists don't really know anything else about them. Moral of the story, if you actually see one of these in person, you're really lucky. Or unlucky. One of the two. And as always, follow for more facts.
I say unlucky, man. The fact that you can only see the jaws in slow-mo tells the whole story there, bro.
Disgusting human body facts that you don't want to know, but I'm going to tell you anyways. Let's go. The average person farts enough in one day to fill up one party balloon. One of those bad boys. Every single day, humans produce enough snot to fill up a cup. Humans go pee enough times in 1 month to fill up a bathtub. Imagine that. If you laid out all the blood vessels in a human body, they would be able to stretch 60,000 miles long and go around the earth 2 times. I don't like that one. If you learn something, leave a like, maybe a follow.
The last one. I didn't know blood vessels were that
These
long.
are unfun facts that could save your life. Part 5. So most drunk driving deaths, they occur on Saturdays between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. So avoid driving on the roads during that time. If you're ever in a foreign country and you need help and you don't know the emergency number, just call 112. It's the international emergency number and it'll automatically connect you to the nearest helpline. If you ever disturb a beehive or a wasp nest, do not run for the water. They'll wait for you to resurface and then they'll continue to sting you. Just run fast and as far as you can, because eventually they'll stop following you.
Not so fun facts you regret knowing. To start off, anyone can have a brain aneurysm at any age, no matter if you're healthy or not. And did you know that cigarettes have killed more people than any war combined? That's pretty wild. And talking about war, did you know there's a higher chance of you surviving getting shot in the head than being bitten by a dog that has rabies? Why am I scared of dog all of a sudden? And talking about animals, there's a wasp in Australia that actually hunts spiders. It just paralyzes them and starts laying eggs into it before wrapping it into a mud cocoon. And finally, if you ever get in a fight and you punch someone in the heart at the wrong time, you can literally stop their heart from beating, making them pass.
Okay, y'all, I have a newborn and a 15-month-old. I've been busy and I've missed a lot of what's going on, so let's look at some of the crazy things happening in the world right now. Men that were lost at sea for 29 days ended up saying it was a nice break from reality. California passed a new law where if you don't touch your crypto for 3 years, California has the legal right to seize it. A man in the UK who was trying to sell his house for $1 million could not get anyone to buy it for that amount, so he sold $1 raffle tickets for anyone to win the house and ended up selling $2 million in tickets, meaning he got double what he was looking for, and the lucky winner got a house for $1. A man came out and said that he swiped right on Tinder 2 million times, averaging about 2,000 swipes a day, and says over 5 years he just went on one date. New York City had 0 murders on July 4th for the first time in history until the next day it was determined that a man was shot and killed 15 minutes before midnight.
Damn. That close.
I did not know they got that big. I knew the name, I knew what it was. It's a bear cat called a binturong, but I thought it was raccoon weight class, not a sloth bear's understudy. It's carnivore casserole, nicknamed the bear cat, but Cincinnati's mascot is neither. The shadow clone identity crisis is on the cat side of the predatory lunch table. Specifically, it's a type of vivarid. Not a vivid ferret, a vivarid. Its closest relative is a palm civet, whose poop makes a cup of coffee. They're also related to the Apa Madagascar, the Fusa, and the genet. And like a cat, this breathing black bathmat can climb, and they even have a prehensile tail to grab, so being built for the arboreal means you'll smell them before you see them. It's true what you heard. Their pee smells exactly like buttered popcorn, so if you're ever in the jungle and smell a theater, you might be in the presence of a bear cat, or the presence of death, since tiger urine also gives butter. In fact, that might just be why Binties smell like that. Somebody fact check me, I just thought of that. At least only when they're young, because apparently with age comes the smell of a corn chip. If you're a binturong. The Frito Warrior is also very noisy. If you want to hear it, find your local binturong, make him happy, and they'll make a lot of sounds, including huffing and even chuckles. Now, even though Buddy's built like a real-life Mandela effect, because some of y'all might swear we just made this up, are actually part of the most primitive of the feliform carnivores. Meaning they're basically like the beta version of cats today. A chuckling, tree-climbing, butter-scented, raccoon, monkey, lemur, bear hybrid that can delay their own pregnancy for months if the outsides ain't looking right. One of the many animals of all time. Also, their babies are called binlets, the more you know.
Business, okay. You always updating, man, my animal facts. Appreciate that.
Unfun facts until the Orbeez overflow. Bananas are actually a little bit radioactive. Bags of coffee often contain ground up cockroaches as well. There are brain-eating amoebas in ponds and lakes all over the world. Fatal familial insomnia is a condition that destroys one's ability to sleep until they go crazy. Most animals will finish you before eating you. Bears, however, will eat you alive. There was one solo tiger in India that claimed the lives of 436 people. And it looks like I'm out of time. Follow for more fun facts.
436? What part of it was he at?
This special education teacher essayed a 15-year-old student. 30-year-old Christina Formella was born on December 29th of 1994 in Illinois. She always wanted to pursue a career in education, specifically special education. Christina dedicated her professional life to support these students, and she wanted to make a positive impact on them. In August of 2020, Christina started working at Downers Grove High School, working as a special education teacher. In 2021, Christina volunteered as a soccer coach for the boys and girls soccer team, and this showed she was dedicated not only to help students academically, but also athletically. In 2023, Christina met a 15-year-old boy from the soccer team that she was coaching. This wasn't a normal student-teacher dynamic, this was crossing lines, and she was obsessed with him. This teen boy ended up suffering a sports injury which wouldn't allow him to play soccer anymore, which meant that Christina would no longer see this boy, so she offered to be his tutor. She would tutor this teen boy every day after school, and eventually she got his phone number. Since now she had his phone number, she would text and FaceTime him daily. Things started to escalate between the two, and the way that Christina was texting this teen boy was disgusting, inappropriate, and of course illegal. Not long after that, it would be the first time that Christina essayed this teen boy. She took him to her classroom and essayed him on a desk that would later be used by one of her special ed students. Once this teen boy turned 16, he started to like a girl at his school, and once Christina found out about this, she was furious. She truly felt like she was being betrayed and cheating on. Meanwhile, she has a whole fiance at home not knowing what she is doing to a child. She ends up going off on this teen boy through text messages, and she's saying how he was using her, he only wanted her to do it with, and she will be the best thing that he's ever had. In August of 2024, the teen boy ended things with Christina. Meanwhile, she went to Italy to marry her fiance, who was actually her college sweetheart. On the day of Christina's wedding, she locks herself in a bathroom and she is crying about this teen boy. So she goes on her notes app on her phone and she is writing a manifestation that this boy will get back together with her. Poor husband Michael has no idea that this is happening on their wedding day. In March of 2025, so super recently, this teen boy had broke his phone, so his mom bought him a new one. She's transferring all of his stuff over to his new phone and she sees these messages between her son and Christina. She went to police with this information and on March 22nd, Christina was pulled over and arrested. Mind you, she's in the car with her husband and she's trying to act shocked like she never committed a crime in her whole life. Once police reveal to Christina why she is being arrested, she tries to say that this teen boy was the one that was obsessed with her and that this happens to her all the time because she's so attractive. Once authorities look at Christina's phone, they end up finding more messages between her and other students. When Christina was in court, she pled not guilty and was indicted on 52 additional charges. Since this case is very recent, there is not a trial date yet, but her husband Michael
heard about this when I was in high school and it scarred me for life. In the late 1940s, Russian researchers kept 5 prisoners locked in a room to do an experiment on them. They were going to be testing out a new chemical gas on these prisoners. The gas was a stimulant meant to keep people awake. The 5 prisoners were promised to be released from prison if they went through with this experiment and if they stayed awake for the 15 days. The researchers were going to be monitoring them by looking through porthole windows attached to the chambers and with microphones. And there was enough food in the chamber to keep all 5 of the prisoners eating for a month straight. They began pumping the gas into the chamber and everything was fine until 5 days later when things started to get a little bit weird. The prisoners began to talk to each other about traumatic, graphic events from their past, and their conversations kept getting darker and more disturbing. The prisoners started to display severe paranoia. Follow for part 2. Part 2 of the Russian sleep experiment. So after 5 days, their conversations started taking a dark turn. Then they stopped talking to each other and started whispering into the microphones. On the 9th day, one of them started screaming and running around the chamber. He was screaming so much that he busted out his vocal cords and he could no longer scream, he could just squeak. Soon after this, another one started screaming the exact same way. 2 more prisoners who weren't screaming took some books that were provided for them in the chamber, ripped out the pages, and glued them onto the windows using their feces. After the windows were completely covered, all of the screaming and whispering stopped. 3 more days passed and still no noise was coming from the chamber, and at this point the researchers didn't even know if the prisoners were alive anymore. The researchers decided to use the intercom to tell the prisoners that they were going to open the chamber and that the prisoners would be released if they complied. What the prisoners said next will terrify you. Follow for part 3. Part 3 of the Russian sleep experiment. So after the researchers told the prisoners over the intercom that they would be freed if they complied, one of the prisoners got on the microphone and he said in a very calm voice, "We no longer wish to be freed." The researchers decided that they would open the chamber after all. Before they could go into the chamber, they had to drain it of all of the gas. And as soon as they started doing this, the prisoners started screaming, begging for them to turn the gas back on. They were screaming bloody murder, begging for the gas. When the researchers finally went in to get the prisoners, they noticed that one of them was dead, and the other 4 had their organs torn out. Yet they were somehow still alive and they just kept begging for the gas to be turned back on. And this isn't even the end of the story. Follow for part 4. Part 4.
Damn, this story keeps getting... It's like we keep going deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole, bro. They got addicted to the gas. That's what we got, man, on the last part. I don't know what they put in that gas, man, to make them stay up for 5 days straight, but they had to put some addictive into it.
Of the Russian sleep experiment. So the researchers got the subjects out of the chamber and they took them to a hospital where they underwent surgery. The ones that could still sleep just kept asking the doctors for gas. The doctors decided not to give them any laughing gas or anesthesia for the surgeries, so they had to do the surgeries on them when they were awake. But the weird thing was, it seemed as though the prisoners enjoyed it. One of the prisoners who could no longer speak was given a notepad and pen during the surgery, and he scribbled down, "Keep cutting." As soon as one of the prisoners fell asleep, he flatlined and he died. Soon there was only one prisoner that was left, and right before he passed away, he looked at the doctor and he said, "We are the darkness that lurks within all of you. We are what you hide from in your beds every night. We are what you sedate into silence and paralysis when you go to the nocturnal haven that we cannot tread. And then his EKG flatlined and the experiment was over.
This man kills people who simply look at him and you won't believe why.
You're not gonna need a part 2. So basically, this is Nico Jenkins. Nico was born in Colorado in 1986 to a family that was notoriously violent. At the age of 7, he brought a gun to school, and at the age of 15, he stole a car and went to jail. In prison, he was notoriously violent, and he would often assault other inmates, but he was finally released in 2013. This is when he went from being a normal criminal to being one of the most dangerous people alive. 2 weeks after he was released from prison, a police officer in Omaha, Nebraska found 2 dead men in the back of a pickup truck. Over the next week, 2 other people were murdered around the same area, notably Andrea Kruger. Andrea was driving home from work when somebody stopped her and shot her in the middle of the street and then abandoned her car down the highway. This is how Nico got caught, because he got sloppy and left DNA evidence in the car and failed to burn it. All of his victims were chosen seemingly at random because all but one of them had no connection to Nico at all. While he was in trial, he claimed he was being guided by the Egyptian serpent god Apophis, but that did not stop him from getting 4 death sentences. And now, you're not gonna need a part 2.
So anybody who looked at him, he just said, I can't deal with that. It's over. People in this day and age have truly lost it. You can't even look at somebody, man. Somebody take it the wrong way. What the? Why'd they go backwards?
Okay, so let's talk about the supposed vampires that live in New Orleans. Locals believe that the city is actually home to real living vampires. During the 1930s, brothers John and Wayne Carter were executed for committing multiple murders. About a dozen bodies were found, drained of their blood, after a young woman managed to escape the brothers' apartment. Sightings of these brothers are reported up until this very day because their bodies mysteriously vanished from the funeral vault. Why am I thinking of Stefan and Damon right now? Now fast forward to 1984, where 9 people were found around the French Quarter area, all with their throats ripped out. Paramedics and first responders were dumbfounded because even though the scene was gory, there was no blood. Also, vampire culture is majorly popular in New Orleans, but that must have stemmed from somewhere. The missing persons and crime rate is incredibly high around the French Quarter area. What if this is something more?
Vampires in New Orleans, okay.
That's a fucking slug. Imagine that in someone's fucking brain.
Do not mess with that friggin' kid! If you do, I will rip off your goddamn head and shove it so far up your friggin' ass, you'll be coughing up dandruff for 4 friggin' months!
I don't care what you say. If you ever touch him again, I will freaking kill you. I'm gonna pull out a goddamn shotgun and blow your damn head off. Do you understand, you little worthless piece of crap?
See a video like that, man, the signs of that. They called it the Lost Tapes too. You can tell nothing good came from that video. The vibe that it was bringing.
Please do Cat Scratch. I actually used to play this game with my sisters all the time when we were younger, and most of the time it actually worked. So Cat Scratch is a paranormal game which basically you're supposed to summon some sort of spirit to scratch you along your back. To play the game you need at least 2 people. So one person sits crisscross applesauce and the other person lays their head in that person's lap. The person who's sitting up then starts rubbing the other person's temples and telling them one of the Cat Scratch stories. There are a few different variations of stories that go along with this game, but I'll tell you the most popular one. So the story goes like, there was once an old lady who owned a cat. The cat was very nice. It would meow and purr. One day the cat got hit by a car and died. Cat scratch, cat scratch, cat scratch. The old lady got a new cat. This cat was very mean. It hissed and clawed. Cat scratch, cat scratch, cat scratch. I'm running out of time, but follow for part 2.
This is the dark truth behind the Lion King. So we all remember this scene when Mufasa dies, right? Simba then later finds his dead body, but they never actually showed what happened to the body. You would think the hyenas ate it, but hyenas don't actually touch lions. And there is no other animal that eats lions besides lions themselves. But here's when it gets crazy. Now look at this picture of Scar. He is playing with some animal's skull, which just happens to look exactly like a lion's skull. So does this mean that Scar ate his own brother's dead body?
Two cosmetic companies that got sued. Number one, EOS Lip Balm. In 2016, the brand came under attack when a story surfaced of a customer reaction lawsuit. Many people reported blistering, cracked, bleeding lips, which was actually caused by a chemical reaction within the ingredients. 2 years later, EOS settled the lawsuit. Number two, Johnson & Johnson. In 2018, Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $4.7 billion in damages to 22 women. The women alleged that the baby powder they were using was contaminated with asbestos, which led them to have ovarian cancer. To this day, Johnson & Johnson is still facing over 16,000 US legal cases. Let me know if you want me to make this a series.
There is a new planet exactly the same as Earth. This planet is the same size and looks identical to Earth. As you guys can see, they're both identical. And there could be humans on this planet. Scientists are trying to get to the planet and trying to discover what is on it. There could be humans or even aliens on this other world, because it's identical to our Earth. Make sure you share this message with everyone and follow me.
Identical Earth? I doubt humans.
If you see this happen, you need to run fast. If you see these orange dots on a tree in the woods, you seriously need to run fast. It might just look like orange paint, but don't be fooled. This is a trap. There have been loads of reports of missing people in these types of woods. So if you see these orange markings in the woods, you need to run fast. Make sure you share this message and follow for more.
I see you there, then, bro. Keep risking his life for the Seekers. If you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video, comment down below, hit that post notification bell so you always get notified when I upload my next videos. You guys are gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.